Hey guys, welcome to Smallmouth Crush. Today we're going to go over step by step on how I get ready for a tournament. So I have the Chesapeake Bay BFL coming up in a few days. I'm going to go through the rundown on how I get ready for that event coming up. So for this event, I have a pretty good idea of what's going on. We've had some pretty unseasonably cold weather this week. There's a full moon right now, so these fish are in a funk. They have to be. If you look at past results from last week, and you'll see you only needed 2 fish to win one of the events and 3 to win another event. So fishing's been pretty tough out there. And this cold weather and this tsunami of rain that's going to fall upon us on Saturday probably isn't going to help too much. So I'm actually going to get out tomorrow. So I'll have a full recap of practice tomorrow as well as Friday. And hopefully, if the weather isn't anything like it was on the Potomac, which it looks like it's going to be, just a bunch of rain and downpour, hoping to have some good video during the tournament as well for you guys. So I'll post that nightly starting tomorrow night after this video goes up today, just to give you an idea of how practice is going. So I have everything rigged up. I'm going to be fishing some new spots tomorrow. Eric's going to be joining me, and we're just going to run some new stuff. I'm not going to hit anything that I would hit during the tournament. I have a pretty good game plan. I'm going to be fishing for post-spawn fish as well as spawning fish, if there is any right now. The water temps have dropped. Air temperature is only going to be in the 50s for the event. It's a little bit cooler at night than I'd like to see it, so it's going to be a challenge for a lot of the local guys. So who knows? We'll see what happens. I'm all rigged up as far as what I think I'm going to need for practice. So let me walk you through step by step on how I prepare for this event. What to do is get a current conditions as far as water temp, air temperature, and perhaps wind speed. So I'll go to buoybaynoaa.gov, and there's probably buoy systems like this across the country for your body of water, and you can look up on the website and get information on that particular buoy, what's going on. So in this case, I'm looking at the Susquehanna River, which is right near Havre de Grace, Maryland, and I'm interested, air temperature right now is 58. It's been unseasonably cool this week. That's going to put a little damper into my game plan going into this BFL. But I want to look at wind direction, and we're looking at wind gust of 9, wind speed of 7.6, water temperatures 55.7. So we had a lot of rain this week. A lot of cold water is being pushed down the Susquehanna River into the Chesapeake Bay. Some of the marinas and the backwaters are probably going to be a little bit warmer, so I'm not too concerned, but it's just a good idea to have that information at hand going into pre-practice, just knowing what I'm going to run into out there. All right, so I'm going to go to weather.com, go to Havre de Grace. I kind of know what I'm in store here coming up. It's not going to be pretty. So we're a few days out. It's Tuesday right now. And we have some terrible weather moving in, especially for this time of year. So I'm going to be fishing tomorrow, Wednesday. We got a high of 68, north-northwest 7. That's fine. But if you look here, come tournament day, Saturday, it's going to be 56. Low 50s at night. North-northeast at 16, which means it's going to blow at 20 plus. It's going to be rainy 100%. Are we going to get good video footage for this derby? It's going to be like that last event. Fishing in the pouring rain. 100% chance. So we're going to have a lot of rain. We're going to have a lot of rain Friday. I don't know how much. Around 1/4 of an inch. That's going to be enough to stir things up and dump some water into the system and screw up everyone's game plan. Isn't that fun? This event's going to be won by making adjustments during the day. Any pattern here that we have going into Saturday is going to be hard to duplicate. See, what's going on right now? We have a full moon, and we have very unseasonably cold conditions here. These fish, the fish that have moved up and are spawning or trying to, they're getting thrown off right now by these cooler temps. I'm going to probably target post-spawn fish, and I don't know if there's a lot of pre-spawn fish left in the system. There certainly could be. It just hasn't been what I found. So these are some of the things that I need to know going into the tournament so I can plan for my days of practice. So I'm fishing tomorrow, Wednesday, and then I'm also going to be fishing on Friday. And a lot's going to happen here this week. I don't know if I can count on some of the past conditions and some of the days I've had out there recently. I've had some really good days out there, but this weather's really throwing some things for a loop. So now that I know what the weather's going to be like, the next thing I'll want to do is look at tide conditions. So I'll go in tide chart. I'll just look at Havre de Grace and see what we're facing for Saturday. Obviously, if you're fishing a body of water that doesn't have tide, this isn't something that's going to be of value to you, but it certainly is for me. So the tournament's on the 13th. So here we have high tides at 12:18, so that means in the morning. 6:12 on Saturday is going to be low tide. That'll be great. This is important. It's important to know what the tides are going to be. A lot of that dictates the position of the fish, when they're going to bite better, whether it be an outgoing or incoming tide. For me, it helps me know what type of technique to use on these fish in certain areas that I have planned to fish during the tournament. So, for instance, I already know in my mind kind of a milk run, if you will, of where I'm going to be fishing. Come tournament day. And I'll bring up the map here. So some of you guys who are not familiar with the Chesapeake Bay can get a feel for what's going on. So most of the tournaments are out of the Northeast at Anchor Marina. So this is where the BFL will be launched out of. And this whole area can hold fish. The whole Chesapeake's full of fish. I mean, you can run as far south as you really want. Gunpowder, Bush, Middle River. Aaron Martin's won the event, the Elite Series event. Not quite that far down. But in this zone here. And that's a good hour, 45 minutes to an hour run. Of course, you have the sassafras here. Actually, that's Turner. No, that is Sass. Turner was in there. So there's a lot of areas. Of course, we have the flats. The flats, when everyone talks about the Chesapeake Bay and they talk about the flats, it's this area out here. It's a shallow area. 1 foot, 3 foot, a lot of sandbars, log jams, a lot of grass. But this isn't setting up for me, at least the last time I was out there. The grass doesn't seem to be growing that well. The Susquehanna's been dumping water into here, cold water, as we saw with these rains we had the last couple days, and just stirring up the water, making things muddy. A lot of the fish spawn here. The BFL was actually won on the flats last year. And that's something I'll also want to look at, is just past tournament results as well as current results here in the last couple of weeks. And then I like to look at previous BFLs as well, just to kind of get an idea where the cut line may be as far as getting a check, what you're really going to need for weight. And this is great, especially if this is a new body of water that someone's fishing. You want to know what that lake is given out during that particular time of the year. So we're going to do a little past history as well and take a look at that information. All right, so I'm just going to pop over here to FLW and look at the BFL last year, which was on the Chesapeake, May 21st. I thought it was a little earlier than that, but I guess not. This event was cold and rainy, but it was real nice a few days prior to that, and those fish were up spawning. And I really missed the boat here. There was a lot of 20-pound bags. Ninth place or better, you needed 20 pounds. And I missed the mark big time. I learned from my mistake last year. I should have, in practice, explored a few other areas where they were bedded up and spawning. I only came in, I believe, I had 3 lousy fish for 10.8 pounds last year. 42nd place, not good. I just didn't, I didn't adjust. I was stubborn, and I stuck with a program that just did not pay out for me. So, I mean, it's obvious you're going to need 20 plus pounds to win this event. If you look at the following year, 2015, I'm pretty sure it was going to be the same, 20 plus pounds. So you always want to check past results just to know what you're really going to need there. 22.12 won. I actually took third there, 20.2. So, 2 years ago, there was only 3 bags of 20 pounds or better. And to cash a check, you needed 8 pounds. So that year, the bites came pretty easy for me, where last year they didn't, and it should have. It's so confusing sometimes, these fish, I tell you. Okay, so I'm trying to do a search here for other recent tournaments like last weekend, May 6th or 7th. I guess there was an ABA out there. It looked like it didn't draw too many boats, like less than 15 here. But if you look at the total weight, less than 8 pounds won, which is really hard to believe. But I guess so. 2 fish. That's weird. I haven't been out since last weekend. I went Friday, so I was out on the 5th. And this tournament was on, well, their website's hard to, I guess it was on the 6th. So I'm not sure what's going on. I want to see if there's any other tournaments that weekend as well. That's disturbing. Did find another one that was also May 6th. And it concludes what the other tournament basically states. This guy won with 10 pounds. No limits. Small boat tournament, but something's not right here. Last weekend must have been terrible out there. It was miserable. I'm not going to take last week's results and say that's what's going to happen this week. You need a limit to do well. You're gonna need 18 to 20 pounds, if not more. Regardless, I mean, we have 100. There was 150 boats at the last BFL on the Potomac River, and so this is the second tournament in that Northeast Division. I would expect 100 plus boats to show up, if not more. See, last time there was a ram event on the Chesapeake Bay, which drew a lot of people that would have possibly fished the Potomac River away from that event. So I don't think there's any conflicts as far as tournaments this weekend, as far as guys wanting to go somewhere else or not. So we should have a good turnout. I expect the weights to be a little bit higher. This isn't doing the Chesapeake Justice. So it'll be real interesting to see what happens tomorrow during practice. I'm a little concerned, though. Not going to lie. I did find... So one thing that's helpful when you're doing tournament research is obviously social media. So a lot of people like to put their results up online. And so this guy here, Luke, he was on the flats. It looks like Sunday. So there was a tournament out there for 5 Alive Bassmasters. It looks like a decent bag there. You know, some threes. You notice the tails are beat up and bloody. So those are probably fish that were spawning or post-spawn fish there. But that's a pretty good bag considering the previous day was tough conditions. I don't know if it's 4 fish or 5 that he caught to win. I don't know how many boats. Kind of can look through some of the information here. If we go to 5 Alive, just got to do a lot of research, a lot of homework on the internet. A lot of stuff out there can get you a picture, get you a story, let you know what you're in for these upcoming events. And you just have to keep looking, and you can spend a couple hours searching, and you'll come across some useful information. So here's a system that I use as well. I'll keep any magazine clippings, articles, and I have a couple of these boxes with different labels as far as different bodies of water. And over the years, I've been doing this probably the past 8-9 years now, is just file away any information from my old Bassmaster magazines, FLW. I'll print out something on the internet, and I'll have access to different articles written on that body of water. So, for instance, there's Lake Hartwell. Also have Pickwick Lake. You know, all kinds of bodies of water across the country, and it's just different magazines. There's maps in there as far as fishing maps. Some printouts there. So I keep everything labeled, and it's a really neat system to have in place for me to get information on a particular body of water that I may be going to. So I also like to keep some of these maps handy, especially states and areas I fish a lot. They help me if I'm going to an unfamiliar body of water to find boat ramps, places like that. Sometimes the internet just doesn't get you as accurate as information as a map like this. Plus, you're allowed to, you can get a visual of where everything's at as well. So these maps are really great. So I also carry a lot of maps, paper maps from different bodies of water. I keep them all in a case. And if I go to a body of water I'm not familiar with, I probably will have the map if I've been there before. And those are all the fishing hotspots maps. And it's nice to just have them as a reference. I look over them quite a bit, especially even bodies of water I fished in the past. It's always good to look over that and just get a review of that lake and that body of water. Then, of course, I also use Navionics on my phone. And, of course, Google Maps and the Navionics app on the computer. All right, there you have it, guys. Wish me luck. We're going to see what happens. Hey, don't forget, hit the fish above to subscribe to my channel. And also check out the video that's going to be linked right here as well. I got that contest going until next week where you can win a bunch of tackle. So check out that video. Until next time, we'll see you guys on the water.